Dubai has captured the attention of people around the world. It seemingly grew from a small desert village to a tourism hub overnight. Its clusters of skyscrapers, man-made islands, opulent malls, palatial hotels, and flashy lifestyle seem unreal. Dubai exists in a bubble that everyone is curious about. I was born in Dubai and I lived there for 23 years before moving to the States to pursue my master's. I saw it transform from a desert to the bustling city it is nowadays. I've received so many questions about the city and its origins since moving here. I'll address some of them in this video. Let's start at the beginning. Dubai is not a country. It's one of the 7 emirates in the United Arab Emirates, or UAE, which was formed on the 2nd of December 1971. In the 1700s, it was primarily a fishing village. In the 1800s, it became a port city and an important trade location because of its proximity to Iran. In the early 1900s, it was an important pearl exporter. Oil was eventually found off the shores of Dubai in the 1970s, which brought in a massive influx of foreign workers, including my dad. He moved from Mumbai, India in search of money and a better life. In the 1980s, the city grew on either side of the Dubai Creek, Dera in the east and Bur Dubai and Karama in the west, where I was born. These areas are still the heart of Dubai in my opinion. The gold and spice souks, the abra that ferries people back and forth across the creek, the wind towers, the forts that are made of coral rock and mortar. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, Dubai felt like a fancier extension of India. I went to an Indian school. All my friends and neighbors were Indian. Heck, 80 to 90% of the population was from the Indian subcontinent. Birthright citizenship doesn't exist in the UAE, so even though I was born there, I acquired my parents' citizenship, which is Indian. There were some British expatriates, but they lived in a different area. The wealth disparity between the Westerners, like the Americans and the Britishers, and the Easterners was significant. Every nationality was very territorial, and I remember feeling the racial tensions. We never interacted with people outside our circle, but the few interactions we did have were very uncomfortable. I remember being made fun of and mocked for being an Indian because my accent apparently made me inferior. It didn't matter that I was born in Dubai. It didn't matter that 80% of the population was Indian. I just didn't understand it as a kid. Another important difference was that Dubai was seen as a stopover in the search for a better life. Immigrants saved every dirham and fil that they could while making plans to move to Canada or Australia. Frivolous spending on luxury goods wasn't the norm. In the 2000s, you could feel a big change coming. There was a construction frenzy. I remember seeing at least a dozen cranes from my apartment in Karama. Dubai suddenly became very multicultural. The boom attracted people from all around the world, especially Southeast Asia. Everything was changing so fast, we had to learn to get along and be more tolerant. In 2006, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum became the ruler of Dubai and the vice president and prime minister of the UAE. He is truly a visionary. He knew that Dubai had a relatively small reserve of oil and natural gas that would eventually run out by 2030. He led the transformation of Dubai from an oil-reliant, trade-based economy to a service and tourism-oriented economy. Dubai grew westward along a single highway called Sheikh Zayed Road, named after the founding father of the UAE. Everything was built off this highway. Hundreds of new skyscrapers, the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building in the world's biggest mall, the Dubai Mall, the Mall of the Emirates with its famous ski slope, the Burj Al Arab, and the man-made Palm Island. The way Dubai transformed in those 10 years, from 2000 to 2010, was incredible. It was tough to wrap your head around how fast things were moving. Roads were constantly changing. Buildings appeared out of nowhere. Laws and rules changed on a daily basis. Luxury cars raced up and down the streets every night. It turned into a themed urban landscape, a little similar to Vegas, but way classier, way more opulent. It's like Vegas on gold-plated roids. Dubai also turned into a destination, not just a stopover. It was the ultimate playground for architects and designers. Seeing the city emerge out of the desert motivated me to get into architecture. Of course, with such rapid growth, things fall through the cracks. Dubai diluted its culture and identity because it was trying to appeal to a Western audience. The economic and social bubble became very obvious. Human rights is another issue. Dubai was built on the backs of immigrant laborers, many of them Indians. I remember seeing them being transported to job sites, crammed into the backs of trucks. It was tough to see your fellow countrymen in those conditions, but it has definitely improved since then. In Dubai's defense, it isn't fair to judge all their laws with more established countries. It is still such a new city in a new country. It's trying to figure out its identity and what role it plays in the world. There are a lot of unfortunate and painful things I faced growing up there, but every country has its pros and cons. The US has a rough past. I can only hope that in time, Dubai will have more established rules. I've been in the States for almost 10 years, but I still call Dubai home because I spent my formative years there. My parents still live there, and it holds a special place in my heart. As the proverb goes, absence makes the heart grow fonder. You tend to forget the bad as time goes on and just remember the good. I was so fortunate to experience its transformation, but I haven't been home in 6 years, and I haven't seen my parents in 6 years. I've been feeling extra sentimental lately, which is why I made this video. I miss Dubai and I miss home. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you have any other questions about the city, leave me a comment below. Let me know if you'd be interested in more detailed case studies on the Burj Khalifa and the Burj Al Arab. I'll also link my Patreon page in the description if you'd like to support me. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. See ya.